Let's speak about something that's getting out of control. The average price tag of a car? Practically $50,000. That's a 30% boost in 5 years. Do you recall when $25,000 could buy a good car? That doesn't even cover a down payment these days. And for a luxurious one, get prepared to pay over $100,000. But then comes the frightful part. A record proportion of owners owe more for their car loans than the car is worth. Payments? All-time high. Greet car price reality? New edition. But then comes when it gets juicy. Americans have a soft spot for SUVs. In 2009, 30% of sales included SUVs. In 2019, over 50%. And then comes the plot twist. Use the Ford EcoSport for an example. Same platform as the Fiesta, but Ford can charge an additional $4,500 because it's taller. Americans' craze for SUVs changed everything. Car companies started cutting sedans. Why build a $22,000 Fusion when you can sell a $35,000 Escape? Now comes when it gets complicated. American car companies have initiated a new model. It's no longer about moving a lot of cars, it's about taking a lot of bucks out of each car.
Nice.
GM, Ford, Stellantis, everyone's using a similar model. Stop building cheap cars. Focus on high-ticket ones. What happens? 2023 record earnings. GM CEO Mary Barra captured it in a nutshell. Earnings matter more than sales. Stellantis joined soon enough. They discontinued low-margin sedans years ago, and Wall Street is pleased about it. Stock prices soaring. Shareholders pleased, but buyers not necessarily pleased about it. Ever wonder why even simple cars are so pricey? 2 words: tech investment. Electric vehicles don't come cheap to develop. Software-defined cars? Costly. Advanced driver aids? Not free. Autonomous driving development? Someone pays for it. Today's cars have more computer processing power in them than early space shuttles have ever seen. Every new safety feature introduces cost. Every new convenience feature introduces complexity. And complexity isn't cheap. Just the chip contents in modern cars? Thousands per unit. And that doesn't even include batteries, or charging infrastructure, or over-the-air update technology. Now let's discuss actually developing cars. Traditional car companies? 5.4 years for a new model. Over a half a decade of engineers, of designers, of testing and retesting again. All of that doesn't come cheap. And guess who pays? And then COVID happened. Production stoppages, supply chain madness, shortage of chips. Dealers started pricing them up. Car companies soon followed. And for whatever reason, these increased prices took root. Even when supply chains recovered, even when production normalized, something in the industry realized. Folks will pay for these prices, so why reverse? Meanwhile, in China, they're producing cars 30% less costly, even in the absence of subsidies. How? Because they're playing a different game. Software-first development, faster development times, new model in 1.6 years versus 5.4 years. Willing to make early sacrifice, while companies in America care about quarterly earnings. Chinese companies care about decades. Chinese companies use virtual testing and not real prototyping, saving hundreds of millions in development expenses. Vertical integration, baby. Controlling its supply base, producing its batteries in-house, producing its chips in-house, producing its software in-house. Let's see where your money ends up. 70% building the car alone, materials, labor, assembling it. 20 to 25% dealerships, advertising, overhead expenses. What else? 5 to 10% profit margin. That's less than you'd imagine. But multiply that times a $50,000 car and you see real dollars. Now it gets complicated. Car companies have to spend a lot of money on electric cars, on autonomous technology, on software development. But with thin profit margins, that's a problem. So they have 2 options: charge more or go out of business. What did they choose? Even dealers are getting nervous. Dealers want less costly cars from manufacturers because buyers are fleeing, but manufacturers won't move. Their answer? We will sell fewer cars but won't drop price. Dealers sit down with manufacturers in January each year. What message did last year deliver? Send us something we can actually sell. Something affordable. Nobody listened though. Recall when cars under $20,000 represented 1/5 of sales? That was 2018 and before. Today, there isn't a new car under $20,000 anywhere in the country. Only 6 under $25,000. Meanwhile, cars over $60,000 are ubiquitous. Luxury cars? Not for a mere few anymore, common nowadays. Here's a disturbing fact. Only 51% of Americans can purchase a $25,000 car. That's with an 8% loan for 48 months. And don't even try to find one at that price. The average family spends 15% of its budget for transportation. That's car, gas, maintenance. But new cars? They're getting out of budget range. Policies matter too. Tax credits for EVs, emission standards, trade tariffs, but they're not consistent. With each new administration, they change. That makes it difficult for companies to make long-term plans. Meanwhile, China adheres to a plan, even benefiting from US research dollars. Remember lithium iron phosphate batteries, cheap and efficient? First developed with US taxpayer dollars, today powering China's EV boom. In a marketplace in which car manufacturers care less about car affordability and more about profit, and with a marketplace with a barrier for foreign competition, will Americans ever buy affordable cars again?